It's been a little over 3 months since I put up a greenhouse that is unlike any other one on the market.
Well, hi there. Welcome to my new greenhouse. And this is the best one yet.
And today I'm partnering with HAVN Greenhouses to tell you about what my experience has been like. But first, we have to take it down. And to be honest, this is the part I've been worried about. Because it's one thing to set up a very cool inflatable greenhouse that is really meant to be used all year round. But it's another to see whether it's practical to use this as a seasonal greenhouse that then goes down. And by the end of this video, I'm going to give you my honest thoughts, who I think it'll work great for and who I think it's probably not cut out for. So the HAVN greenhouse is different from everything else because it is inflatable. The structure of this greenhouse is made of the same technology that you use for all sorts of boating applications like stand-up paddle boards and kayaks and floating docks. And I did a whole video on how the setup for this went. And I will link that in the description for you so you can go back and see that. This greenhouse is designed to be a year-round structure. And when anchored properly, this thing is sturdy as heck. And although we didn't test it for this, I've been told it can withstand significant snow loads as well. There's apparently also an insulating factor to the inflatable structure of this that may offer more insulation in a colder climate than other types of greenhouses might. But that's not how I use a greenhouse. I use a greenhouse as a seasonal structure to get a jump start on the spring season and get some crops and some plants going. And also just to hold over tender plants that aren't quite ready to go outside yet. And then once I'm done with all that, I want it to go away. I don't really want the greenhouse sitting around all year. And that's why I think a greenhouse that is meant to be permanent but can be used seasonally is actually perfect for somebody like me. Well, one last look at the inside. We actually did take out the back panel of racks already. Basically what's left in here is stuff that piled up. And, well, you'll get a better idea what the grass looks like when we take this down. But everything inside of this looks amazing in terms of structurally and all of that. In terms of taking this thing apart, it's really not that difficult. You just go in the opposite order that you did when you were putting it together. However, I was a little bit worried about getting all the parts back in the box, so to speak, because this thing came packed in a really nice 5-box system, cardboard boxes. And you do wonder, can you get it back? And you do sort of wonder, can you get the toothpaste back in that tube, you know? So basically, that's exactly what we did. We removed the ground anchors, then we took out the fan. And I just want to take a second to just shout out the fan because I actually think this fan that is included in the system and is Wi-Fi controlled is one of the things that makes this greenhouse truly practical, and for me was one of the biggest game changers compared to other greenhouses that I've used in the past. So the fan gets mounted above one of the doors. The door is still usable, although I wasn't using that door. I decided that I wanted to have shelving in front of that door to get a little bit more usage of space in there. And that worked out great for me. But if you wanted through access, you can still use that door. It's just a little bit lower. It mounts on like a corrugated plastic panel, and we actually just left it mounted on that, and we're going to store it on that panel. So when I've used sort of pop-up type temporary greenhouses in the past, there is no fan option with those. And so one of the things that was happening was that I was having to like run home in the middle of the day if I got an alert on my phone that the temperature had gotten too hot in the greenhouse, or call a neighbor to come and quick open up a door or something. And so heat control was very difficult. And with this Wi-Fi controlled fan, I just set the temperature and let it do its thing. And the temperature was great in there. I never at any point, even if there were days where I didn't fully vent things as much as they probably should have been, where anything was in danger of getting fully cooked. All the panels just zip on with really heavy duty zippers. So we just took those off. That was quite easy. Okay, so my goal here is to take this apart in such a way that future me thanks me for this. So I'm trying to fold everything. Like when we put things in boxes, we're going to try to put them in the order that we need them, but also, you know, there are stickers on all these things that give you like a part number. We're trying to keep those all facing up so we can see them. I've just rolled up the sides, but we're going to blow off the top because there's quite a bit of pollen on the top of it. And that's just a matter of undoing all the corner brackets. The really nice thing for both putting it up and taking it down is that there are no tools required. It's all hand screws, so it was super easy to pop those out. And then once those are out, then you just kind of take apart all the inflated bits. Now some of the tubes, particularly the ones that touch the ground, were a little bit dirty. So I wanted to take the time to scrub everything and just give everything a good rinse before we put it away. And then you take the pump that comes in the kit, which can run off of batteries or an electric cord, and you put it on the reverse side and you suck out all the air. Now a little tip with this is that when you take the hose off, you have to kind of quickly get in there to close the valve so that air doesn't sneak back in and make it more difficult to roll these things up, because to be honest, they are pretty difficult to roll up no matter what. Now fortunately, we saved all the straps that came with everything, so once we got things rolled up, we just quick slipped a strap on there and held it together before it sprung open again. And while the rolling job, particularly for the two end walls, was not exactly the neatest thing in the world, it's going to work just fine. I did try to store everything. I did try to, so we did invest in a bunch of tubs to store this in, but the storage thing is something you have to consider when you're thinking about this greenhouse, because if you're going to use it seasonally like I do, you're going to have to store it somewhere. And there's no doubt that this system takes up quite a bit more room than other more simple pop-up types of greenhouses before. Certainly twice as much room, I would say, possibly 3 times as much room. So it might not be the best for you if you don't have a lot of storage space somewhere to keep this. So as far as the HAVN greenhouse goes, I can only speak to my 3+ months of experience with it and what it's like to use this as a seasonal greenhouse. But at the end of the day, I love this thing. And as I've been telling you about this throughout the spring and summer, I've mentioned, like, I should love it. It's a much better product than the other greenhouses I've been using in the past. It also costs considerably more than those greenhouses. So the HAVN retails for $2,000, which is no small investment. If you're looking at that compared to year-round greenhouses, it's very affordable. If you're looking at that as a seasonal greenhouse, like I use it, it's definitely on the pricey end. So if you're looking for a seasonal greenhouse, should you get one of these? Well, maybe. I think this is a great greenhouse for a lot of people. I also think there are some people this is not meant for. If you've never used a seasonal greenhouse before, or you're just getting into it and maybe only used one for 1 year, I don't think this is probably the right greenhouse for you. And the reason is because I think you want to make sure that you enjoy using a seasonal greenhouse, and you want to keep doing that before you invest in something like this. If you're like me and you've been using a seasonal greenhouse for a long time, and you know this is how you like to garden and this is how you like to, carry on your plants or whatever you use it for, then I think this is a great investment. Because I think it's a lot easier and more pleasurable to grow plants in a higher quality greenhouse where you don't have to worry about it overheating, you don't have to worry about it blowing away, you don't have to worry about the sidewalls caving in on you all the time, because that was always a factor. I mean, I'm not going to lie here. I would go out there and hang out in the evenings because it was really enjoyable to be in that space, just kind of mucking about with plants. So that is my short but illuminating experience with the HAVN greenhouse, from setting it up to taking it down and storing it. And I'll tell you what, I can't wait to use it again next season. If you have other questions about the HAVN greenhouse, I'm happy to answer whatever I'm able to based on my experience with you down in the comments, so leave me a comment there. And in the meantime, thanks for watching and have a great day in your garden.